Hello everyone, welcome to the RTB series. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a circle join colour change. I use this when creating stripes because it gives a nice clean colour change with a jog-free finish. If I just turn this around here, you can see that when I've changed colour, there is just a very slight ridge down the back, but it's barely noticeable. I far prefer this to the jog you get using other colour change methods. I will show you how to make this using my pattern for Artie Bear. So I've just finished creating rows 1 to 3 at the start of the body for Artie Bear. I now need to change colour to red. So to begin my colour change, I first need to draw my loop through to the centre of my piece. To do this, I will need to draw it through from front to back. Sometimes the first stitch can be a little bit tight, so a top tip here is just to insert your hook first from front to back and give it a little wiggle. This will make it easier to place the hook through from back to front. Now I'm going to place that loop back on the hook, tighten it up a bit, and now I'm going to draw it through into the back of my project. Just pull it tight. There, that has closed off the previous round. Now to change colour, I'm going to take up the new colour and just place a loop onto the hook, and I'm going to draw that loop through the loop of my previous colour. I'm then going to pull that loop tight around the new colour. Now before I start crocheting, I'm just going to bring that previous yarn colour through and the tail of my new colour so that I crochet over those. Now just tuck those in there. I'm now going to go back into the first stitch that I've just drawn that loop through, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet through both of those loops. I'm going to yarn over, draw it through, I'm going to yarn over and draw it through again. As you can see, we've changed colour there. Now I'm going to continue around. My next stitch is an increase, so I'm going to go into my next stitch, making sure that I'm going under the tail, my new colour, and the white and the previous colour. I'm going to yarn over, draw it through, yarn over and draw it through again. I'm now going to go back into that same hole, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over and draw it through both of those loops. My next stitch is a double crochet. I'm going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over and draw it through both of those loops. The next stitch is also a double crochet. You can see I'm still going over those tails there just to secure them a bit in place. And my next stitch is an increase, so I'm going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over, draw through both loops. I'm going to go back into that same stitch, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over and draw it through both those loops. Now I'm satisfied now that I've secured those tails, so I'm going to go ahead and chop my previous colour yarn, and I'm no longer going to go crochet over those tails. I'm just going to tuck them away out of the way. Now I'm going to continue making 2 double crochet followed by an increase all the way around until I get to the last stitch, which in this case it needs a double crochet. I'm just going to go ahead now. I've come to the last stitch in that round now, so I'm just going to remove the stitch marker and make 1 double crochet into that last stitch there. Now, just to finish this round off, I'm going to draw my loop through to the back again. So I'm going to take my hook out, place it under the first stitch from back to front, place my loop back on the hook, tightened it up a little bit there, draw it through into the back, give it a little pull tight, and that has just closed off the end of that round. Now I'm going to make another 2 rows in this colour. My next row is a 3 double crochet increase all the way round, so that'll be another 6 increases, which will leave me with 30 stitches. So I'm just going to go ahead now and make the next 2 rows until I'm ready to change colour again. So I'm going to go back into that same stitch that I've just drawn the loop through, yarn over and draw it through, and that's the first double crochet. And finally come to my last stitch, remove the stitch marker, make an increase. I just need to close that round off again. So to finish that round, I need to take my hook and place it from back to front under that first stitch of that round there. Place my loop back onto my hook. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. I'm going to draw it through both of those loops of that first stitch. Pull it tight, tighten it up on my hook again, and that is the end of the second row. And I'm going to make 1 more row using this red colour, then we will change to green. So I'm just going to place a stitch marker to mark the last stitch of the round, and I'm going to go into that same stitch that I've just pulled my loop through, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over, draw through both of those loops. I'm now going to continue all the way around, making 1 double crochet in every stitch. I'm going to fast forward through this. I have come now to the end of row 6 and I need to change colour to green. Now to do this, I'm going to take out the stitch marker and make my final double crochet into that last stitch there. I'm now going to close this round off by drawing the loop through to the centre or to the back. I place my hook through from back to front. I'm now going to place my loop back on the hook and tighten it up a little bit. I'm now going to draw that loop through to the back of my crochet and pull it tight. And that closes off that round. Now I use this method to close off right from the beginning of the crochet. So I created my magic ring, and then before starting my second round, I drew my loop through to the back as I've just shown you there. Now to change colour, I'm going to pick up my green yarn and I'm going to make a loop on the hook. I'm going to draw that loop through the red loop, and then I'm going to pull that red loop tight around that new green colour. Just going to tighten up that green loop a little bit. Right, I want to crochet over now the green tail and the red yarn for about 5 stitches. So I'm just going to tuck those in. Now the next round that I need to make is a double crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to go back into that same stitch that I drew the loop through. I'm going to go under the previous red yarn and the tail of the green. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to draw it through. I'm going to yarn over again and draw it through both of those loops on the hook. And that's my first double crochet of the next round. I'm going to go into the next stitch. I'm going to go under both of those tails, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over and draw through both of those loops on the hook into the third stitch. Double crochet, still crocheting over those tails into the fourth. And I'm going to make one more. Yarn over, draw through, yarn over and draw through both of those. Now I'm happy that I have secured those tails now, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut the red yarn because I don't need that again for quite a while. I'm going to continue round now, making 1 double crochet into each stitch from the previous round. I'm just going to move those tails out of the way now and continue without them. You can see that the piece is starting to curl. Just going to push that back the other way, away from me, and continue on. Right, 1 final double crochet into that last stitch of the round. Just press that back the other way. Now I just need to close off that round. So I'm going to pull out the loop on my hook a little bit. Insert my hook from back to front under both loops of the first stitch from that round. Place my loop back on the hook. Tighten it up. Draw it through to the back. Pull it tight, tighten up the loop a little bit, and that is the end of that round. I'm going to make 2 more rounds in the same way, doing a double crochet in each stitch around with this green colour. I'm going to go back into that same stitch I drew the loop through, yarn over, draw it through, yarn over, draw it through, and I'm going to continue round. I'm just going to put my stitch marker in that last stitch there. Okay, so I've come to the last stitch of the round again. You can see it's still trying to curl the wrong way, so I'm just going to push that back. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, make one final double crochet in that last stitch there. I now need to close the round off by pulling the loop out, insert the hook from back to front, place the loop back on the hook, draw it through to the centre, pull that tight. There. Now you can see where we've made our colour change there. It's almost invisible. You can barely tell. It gives a nice smooth stripe when you're crocheting in the round. I'm going to go ahead now and make one more row in this green before I'm going to change colour to blue. Right, now I've reached the end of row 9 now, and we're going to change colour to blue. So I'm just going to pull out that little loop there, place my hook through from back to front under both loops of that first stitch from the round. I'm going to place the loop back on the hook, tighten it up a little bit. I'm going to draw it through into the centre. I'm going to pick up the blue colour. I'm going to place my stitch marker in to mark the last stitch of the round. Right, to change colour to blue, I'm going to draw a loop through the green loop, and I'm going to tighten up that green loop around my new blue loop. Just going to put that a bit tighter. I want to be crocheting over the previous green yarn and the blue tail for about 5 stitches just to secure those in place. I now need to make a double crochet in each stitch around in this new blue colour. So I'm going to go back into the stitch that I drew that green loop through at the end of the previous round. I'm going to yarn over and come back through. 2 loops on the hook now. I'm going to yarn over and draw through both of those. Go into the second stitch. You see the 2 tails there. I'm going to crochet over those into the third stitch. Fourth. And fifth. Now that I'm happy that I've secured those tails, I'm going to chop the green yarn. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to continue making 1 double crochet around with the blue yarn. I'm just going to tuck those tails out the way now. Right, I've come to the end of that first blue round now. I'm just going to close that round off by drawing that loop through to the centre. Now you can see there's a very slight ridge where we've been changing colour, where we've drawn that loop through to the back, but I still think that that is far nicer than the jog you get using other colour change methods when crocheting in the round.